Countless athletes have skill. Many have become world champions. Some even break records. But only a rare few have that elusive something, the quality that elevates them beyond mere success and makes them unforgettable. That which makes people remember them for decades after their retirement or even after their death, remembered even by those who don't follow the sport they once dominated. True greatness doesn't come from dominating your sport alone. It comes from becoming larger than the sport itself. Take Muhammad Ali. A decade after his death, he is still known simply as the greatest. Even people who never watched boxing in their life know his name. When Ali stepped into the ring in 1960, America was still under Jim Crow. But he wasn't just a boxer, he was a voice for his people. Bold and defiant and unapologetic, he stood for what he believed in, against the status quo, and people absolutely hated him for it. But to become the greatest, one shouldn't aim to be liked, one must aspire to be respected, even by those who oppose every word you say. And most often, being respected is the opposite of being liked. That's why I believe Dricus has it. Not just the talent to become a champion, that's temporary, but the presence, the purpose and the fire to become a legend. That is forever. You see, among Dricus's people, the Afrikaners, MMA wasn't even on the radar until 2020. Most people had barely heard of the sport, let alone followed it. But in October 2020, everything changed. A single video went viral.
I just get this opportunity on the biggest stage in the world to say, let's stop the farm murders, and I want the world to see what's happening in South Africa.
And suddenly, hundreds of thousands of Afrikaners became fans. Not because we fell in love with MMA as a sport, but because we connected with something deeper. We believed in the man, Dricus du Plessis. It was exactly 5 years ago, after his debut fight at the time, farm murders was still a taboo subject on international stages. Anyone who dared speak out about the brutal and escalating attacks on white farmers in South Africa was crucified by the mainstream media and labeled a racist or white supremacist. But those who live with the threat of violence every single day saw something different in Dricus. Something rare, while other Afrikaner sports stars and international athletes swayed in silence, too afraid of being cancelled for wrong speak, Du Plessis had the courage, the heart and the clarity of mind to speak out, knowing full well what it could cost him. He wasn't yet a global name, he wasn't even ranked in the UFC, but that single moment captured in a viral video showed us what he stood for. And that was enough to make him a hero among his people, even before he was really that famous. Since then, we followed Dricus through every step of his rise in the UFC. Into the rankings, up the ladder, into title contention, and then finally to the moment he stood victorious and dethroning two world champions, Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya, to become the reigning UFC middleweight champion of the world that he is today, the same title that he would be defending today against Khamzat Chimaev. A generation or so ago, South Africa was still a powerhouse in the world of boxing, producing several world champions during our golden age in the sport. Here we can think of the likes of Gerrie Coetzee, who reigned as WBA heavyweight champion between 1983 and 1984, and in the 90s we still had Jacob or Baby Jake Matlala dominating the WBU flyweight division, reigning as world champion for several years. Over the century, another combat sport, mixed martial arts, gained so much in popularity that it's transformed from a fringe and rather controversial spectacle to now being on the verge of overtaking boxing as the world's most popular combat sport. MMA is so big in the United States, for example, that it has become the first sport to ever challenge the so-called Big Four American sports: football, basketball, baseball and ice hockey. However, unlike the other four being American sports, MMA's popularity isn't just limited to North America. In fact, in Brazil, a country with a population of over 200 million people, MMA is now the second most popular sport, training only behind football. In South Africa, a country renowned for its fanaticism about sports, MMA didn't feature at all just a couple of decades ago. The sport only gradually started gaining in popularity over the past decade until one man sparked an absolute explosion in popularity. That man is the current middleweight world champion Dricus du Plessis. The basis for Du Plessis' appeal to South African audiences is, of course, his absolutely outstanding achievements in the octagon and his current dominance of the UFC's middleweight division. Du Plessis' reign started in January 2024, and he has since then successfully defended his world title twice, first by submitting Israel Adesanya in August last year.
He's got the choke!
Du Plessis does it done! Still Africa, Dricus du Plessis remains the man at 185!
And then by unanimous decision over Sean Strickland in February this year. But there is much more to the rise of this young Afrikaner from Welkom in the Free State than just his victories in the octagon itself. By the way, if you find our work informative, receive free updates on WhatsApp. Just follow these steps right here. What makes Dricus du Plessis' rise as a world champion so spectacular is where he comes from and what he represents. While competitors in the UFC came from all over the world, almost all of them train with big gyms in the United States, with Du Plessis being a bit of an anomaly. Training in his home country, in Africa. This in and of itself was at the center of a controversy, where Israel Adesanya, who apparently cherishes his black racial identity immensely, claimed that Dricus isn't a real African because he is white, even challenging Du Plessis to do a DNA test to prove his claim. Apart from this, Du Plessis has always been an underdog in the UFC, with commentators often describing his fighting style as awkward, only to be surprised and shocked every time he gets the win. He has had to work harder than many other fighters in the UFC to get to the main card and to get a chance to fight for the world title, but this has only seemed to motivate him more. He sure has made a habit of winning lately. Du Plessis is currently on a 9-fight winning streak in the UFC, having never lost a fight at this level since making his debut 5 years ago. Not only has he been an underdog, but his very identity as an Afrikaner has been something his opponents have sought to exploit. Ahead of his fight with Dricus, Sean Strickland, for example, referred to white South Africans as racists and suggested that we oppress black peoples even until today.
I don't say that. Everyone's like, I know I talk a lot of shit. Dude, I've been to South Africa.
He's been there one time, so he knows everything there is to know about South Africa.
I fought in South Africa once.
What?
And
You
it's
have?
like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude. It's just like, I just remember like, it's racist, it's shitty, you know, it's like everybody's impoverished, well, not everybody. The black people are poor, the white people are rich and live in compounds. I just like, don't send me to these places, you know, like, you know, South Africa is rated the most unequal country in the world. I mean, how the do you even get, they got North Korea, dude. Like, what are we doing here?
Despite all of these attacks on Du Plessis' culture and his people, he remained focused on the task at hand and shamelessly continues to promote the cause of his people. He is the only prominent sports personality in the country who openly participates in the Day of the Vow or Geloftedag celebrations on the 16th of December, which the Afrikaner people regard as one of our most sacred days, but which is often described by liberals and the media as a racist celebration with no place in South African society today. Du Plessis takes pride in his heritage and unashamedly stands up for his people. His achievements in the octagon have now given him an international platform with an audience of millions of people where he has the opportunity to advocate for the rights and the struggle of his people. For so long, Afrikaners have dominated rugby in this country, but our rugby stars have, almost without exception, been afraid of speaking out against the atrocities being committed against our people in this country. For so long, we have wondered who will be the voice of our people on a truly international stage. Dricus du Plessis has emerged as that voice, unashamedly presenting himself as an Afrikaner nationalist and standing up for the rights of his people. Do you like our content? Make this channel stronger by becoming a member of the Willem Petzer group. Just follow these little steps on the banner right here. This weekend, the eyes of the world will once again be on Dricus du Plessis, who is set to defend his middleweight title against probably his biggest challenge up to date, Khamzat Chimaev, at UFC 319 in Chicago, Illinois. Chimaev, an ethnic Chechnyan from Russia, is himself on an 8-fight winning streak in the UFC. And he will challenge du Plessis on a fight card which also includes the likes of Jared Connor from the US. This weekend, du Plessis once again has the opportunity to show millions of MMA fans around the world just what the Afrikaner is made of. South Africans and Afrikaners in particular have an unprecedented opportunity this weekend to support one of our own. A man who truly cares about the plight of his people and is not afraid to stand up and speak truth to power. If you want to learn more about the situation in South Africa, this video presented after I'm done talking is a good place to start. Remember to become a member of the Willem Petzer group. Your support is what helps this channel grow, reaching new heights and changing the hearts and minds of people. Just follow the steps written down in the video underneath me. Goodbye and God bless.